Okay, one other thing I might mention about if you go to Home Depot or somewhere and buy a board, a piece of lumber to use as a ramp, is you might want to feel of it with your hands and make sure it's nice and smooth. Because sometimes when you buy raw lumber like that, it might have some rough places on it. So, that's to be expected. But it would be helpful for us if your board is nice and smooth. So run your hand across it and make sure it doesn't have any rough spot on it. Uh, again, 3 feet long or 4 feet long, either of those would probably work. I'd go for four, but three would probably work as well also. So either three or four. Okay. So now while you're at it, you'll also want to get another piece of wood if you don't have something like that lying around the house, but a smaller piece. What you're seeing in front of you there is a piece of wood that's resting on an edge. So if it looks like it's sort of looks like a seesaw maybe, well, one of the experiments, the Torx experiment, we're going to make something like a seesaw where you have a piece of wood that balances and you put weights on both sides and balance them out. For that, you need the wood that you have for your ramp will be too big for this. So you need a smaller piece that would be like, let me we'll take a closer look. Okay. Um, so like that. That one actually, let's see, it's a 1/4 inch thick and 1/2 inch wide, 3 feet long, I think. Something on that order, and I'll say something about it in the email too. So basically, a smaller piece of wood, a slimmer piece of wood. Okay, we'll use to make sort of a seesaw out of. Okay, now let me mention too, we're actually going to send you some things by the mail eventually that'll have a few things in them that we believe that you'll need. Well, we know you'll need it. Um, we can't include everything though. So one of the things we're going to try to include is a vernier caliper, which is this guy. Okay, this is for measuring things. You would put the jaws of it around something and measure like that. Okay, more accurate than a ruler. And we're going to send you. This is a nice metal one, but we're going to send you one that's made out of plastic, which not the highest quality in the world, but it'll do well for what we're using it for in lab. So now, if you already have one of those around the house, then you're good. Let me know if you do, and it'll save me the trouble of sending you one of those. So anyway, you'll get a plastic one in the mail, but if you think you might need one for other purposes, this would be a good occasion to get one. You'll need it here anyway. But anyway, you'll get a plastic one in the mail anyway. There's also a digital kind, okay, which is a little more pricey. But if you want to spring for one of those, well, go for it. But it's not required. We're going to give you a plastic one anyway, or lend you a plastic one, I guess. Okay. And also, we will include a few of these nuts. Okay. Nuts. I'm not talking about nuts like you eat, but nuts like go on bolts. Okay. But we might not be able to include enough of them. So when you're in Lowe's or Home Depot, you might want to grab a handful of them. Okay, they're really cheap. They don't cost very much. Maybe a few washers too. What we're using these for is for weights. For like one example would be balancing on this stick here to do torques. Okay, so several nuts, a few washers. Probably a handful of nuts would be good. Just a few washers. I don't think you need too many of those. Okay, you'll get a few, but it might be a good idea to get some yourself. Buy several of them as well, and they don't cost that much. There's some ordinary things like, say, paper clips. You need some big ones. A couple of binder clips might be a good idea to clamp things down. Some of these things I'm saying, they could come in handy. Maybe you don't absolutely need all of them. Okay. There's a C-clamp. That could be useful. You might not need it. Don't buy it if you don't already have one, but it could be handy if you happen to have one. Okay. Graph paper. That's right here. Okay. You can find that in an office supply store. We're going to do a few graphs during the semester. You'll do them by hand, not by computer, but by hand with pencil and graph paper, and you'll send them, fax them to me, or well, I guess scan them, I guess, and email them to me. So that'll be part of what we'll do. So you'll need a few sheets of graph paper. So rectangular grid graph paper. All right. You might be able to find some online and you can print it out. You might be able to do that too. Okay. But you can buy it as well. Something bigger to measure things with than a ruler. Okay. You need a ruler, and I don't seem to see one right here. Anyway, you need a ruler like the kind that are like about a foot long, but you also need something where you can also measure bigger distances, like a tape measure, okay, or a stick, a meter stick, or a yardstick, okay. So you need either one of those, either tape measure or a bigger stick, okay, bigger measuring stick, okay.